In a small village nestled between green hills and flowing rivers lived an old man named Wei, known for his wisdom and patience. He lived in a simple house at the edge of the village, far from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. While the villagers often rushed through their daily tasks, Wei's calm demeanor and thoughtful ways always stood out. People admired him, but what fascinated them the most was his ability to remain patient in all situations. One bright morning, a young man named Jian came to Wei for advice. Jian was eager to make his mark in the world, but he was frustrated with the slow progress in his life. His crops weren't yielding as much as he had hoped. His business was struggling, and he felt as though his hard work was going unnoticed. "I've tried everything," Jian said, with frustration in his voice. "I work day and night, but nothing seems to improve. What am I doing wrong?" Wei listened quietly and then invited Jian to walk with him. They made their way to a small field where Wei had planted a row of young trees. The trees were small, their branches thin, and their leaves delicate. Despite their fragile appearance, Wei took great care of them, watering them every day, protecting them from harsh winds, and ensuring they received enough sunlight. "You see these trees, Jian?" Wei said as they stood before them. "When I planted them, they were no different from the seeds you plant in your own field. But it wasn't the seed or the soil that mattered the most. It was the patience to wait and nurture them every single day." Jian looked at the trees, unsure of how this related to his own struggles. "But they're so small," he said, "and they don't seem to be growing fast enough. How long will it take for them to become strong, tall trees?" Wei smiled and pointed to a tree in the distance. "That tree," he said, "is over 20 years old. It didn't grow overnight. It faced storms, droughts, and harsh winters, but it stood tall because it waited patiently." Patience didn't mean doing nothing. It meant knowing that good things take time and that perseverance in the face of hardship will eventually lead to growth. Jian, still troubled, looked at the young trees and said, "But I'm running out of time. My crops are failing. My business is sinking, and I'm not sure how much longer I can wait." Wei placed a hand on Jian's shoulder. "Patience doesn't mean inaction," he said gently. "It means trusting the process and knowing that every effort you make, no matter how small, will add up in the end. A seed doesn't know it will become a tree one day, but it still keeps growing." Jian left Wei's house that day with a new perspective. He realized that impatience often led to rash decisions, and by pushing too hard, he was only hindering his progress. He decided to approach his work with more patience, trusting that his efforts would pay off in time. Months passed, and Jian's crops began to improve. His business slowly regained strength, and his hard work, combined with patience, finally brought the rewards he had been hoping for. He often thought back to Wei's words, "Patience is power." Just like the trees, his growth had taken time, but it was steady and sure. And so, in the village, people learned that patience was not just about waiting. It was about trusting the process, persevering through difficulties, and understanding that true strength comes from enduring and growing over time. In the end, patience proved to be the greatest power of all.